all of us do to cope with life and try to be who others want or need us to be. As we experience life, everything is forming, informing, or altering our reality, our body, people, and the environment. Our senses are taking in all kinds of information, many of it negative or faulty thinking and beliefs, and it can alter our reality. When we start to strip away all of the faulty beliefs and thinking as we awaken, we learn how we have created so many variations or adaptations to ourselves. To know who you really are, you need to be in a relationship with your Creator to learn the truth of you. Let us help you sort through the awareness of you. Who are you? Deb Goldberg and Anayah Joy Holilly.
Angel Heart Radio programs should not be used to replace your legal or medical advice. Welcome everyone to Angel Heart Radio. You are our focus. We want you to know that you matter in the world and that you're important to the world. We're here to remind you of just how valuable and needed you are right now. Help us to help others. If you like what you hear, tell your friends, post, tweet, pin, let everyone know how amazing Angel Heart Radio is. So again, welcome to Angel Heart Radio. Powered by love, Angel Heart Radio is sponsored by AngelLight777.com.
Welcome, everyone, to Angel Heart Radio. I'm your host, Deb Goldberg, and it brings me great pleasure to be here with you today, and it's an honor to serve you in the highest way that I can by bringing you messages of divine love and blessings for your life. You are dearly loved, cherished, and blessed. And we have a great show for you tonight on Who Are You? But I want to give you the call-in phone number first. It's 347-202-0232, 347-202-0232. And I'm so excited to have Anayah on with me tonight. And her shows are every other Fridays, USA time, 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern, Saturday, 10 o'clock a.m. Queensland time. And you can reach Anayah also at AngelLight777.com. Annette McCoy Show is aired on Tuesdays, 8 o'clock p.m. USA time, Eastern, and Wednesdays, 10 o'clock a.m. Queensland time. If you are interested in knowing more about me or working with me or my books, you can find me at debbiengoldberg.com, and you can find my books on Amazon under a Divinely Ordered Life series. So I want to invite my co-host on, who's the amazing Anayah Joy Holilly, who's the founder of Angel Heart Radio. And she's an angel intuitive, and she is an angel, and she's a great friend, and I'm so excited to be here with her. So welcome, Anayah.
Hi, Deb. Thank you so much. That was a beautiful introduction. And hello, everyone. It's really great to be sharing this time with you, Deb, and with you all, because it's very important and really powerful what we've got to speak about today, isn't it?
It is very powerful, and I'm looking forward to it. In fact, before we got on air, we were talking about victim consciousness and how easy it is to slip back into victim consciousness. And it is lurking around every corner. It's almost connected to all the thoughts that we have in so many different ways, and it's easy to get sucked back into that. Even me, who writes about it all the time, and to practice this, walking a spiritual life and knowing what what goes on a spiritual through spiritual knowledge, and trying not to feed into it yourself. It's all energy. Is not easy, right, Anayah?
It is literally the proverbial banana skin. You're just walking along, and you think you're doing okay. Like I'm really handling this or whatever, and all of a sudden, bam! And we were talking, Deb, before we came on air about how sometimes when someone says, "Oh, hi, how are you?" sometimes really the best we can say is, "I'm okay,"
Mhm.
and letting that be okay for us in that moment.
Yes, that's important because both of us said we were okay.
I mean,
I'm okay
sometimes we say,
today.
"I'm amazing today," and sometimes we
Yes.
go, "You know what? I'm okay." Yeah,
We are where we are, and there's nothing wrong with anywhere where you are in the moment. Every moment is perfect. It's all there as a teaching mechanism to see what, to actually explore more of yourself. That's basically,
mm,
I think, what all of these moment by moment opportunities are. You get to
yeah,
understand yourself on a much deeper level.
and it's a real level, isn't it? It's really where we are at that time, and I think it's very important. Excuse me, not only for us as individuals, but for us in the work that we do, to be transparent in this way, because otherwise we're just buying into our own PR. You know what I mean?
Right. That would be
Yeah.
this spiritual ego talking that, oh yes, I'm holier than thou and I never have any of these problems and or I don't slip on the banana peel and life doesn't happen to me. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
so true. And, and it's okay. It's really okay. So that, this is about self love, isn't it? And self care and self responsibility. We can't have
Mhm.
any of those things really if we feel like we've got to be a human doing instead of a
Yes.
human being. We have to be true and real and, and allow our journey to unfold instead of pushing it in the direction we think it has to go.
Mhm. Yes, that is such a good point because I know I was always somebody that was trying to force things to unfold and rather than just let it be and let it happen on its own. And I think many of us live that way, don't you think?
Absolutely. And, looking outside of ourselves, I mean, I've been doing this all my life. I guess really it was really when I connected with God's angels that I really began to go in, like properly, inside my own divinity. And that was a big shock actually to even know that it was there, A. Um,
Mhm.
I mean, I've been, aware of, being since I was a child, but to really focus inside of me and to really begin to learn, and I'm always learning in one way or another, that everything I will ever need only exists inside of me, inside of God's love for me, Creator's love for me, Great Spirit's love for me.
Mhm. So true. And so and doesn't this pair perfectly with who are you, right? The
Right.
topic.
Yep, because we think so often, Deb, don't we? And well, I'll speak for myself. I think so often, I have thought and felt so often that if I'm a great mum or a great wife or partner or a great radio host or a great website designer, then I'm doing, my work in the world.
Mhm.
But really, my work is about my own true calling, is about this development of my own understanding, awareness, and embracing the divine love, because in truth, that's what we all are. And coming
Mhm.
home to that is really the warmest place I've ever been. See, Sam agrees, don't you, Sammy? Oopsie daisy.
Oh, so I totally agree with you. The really it is our reason for being here is actually taking the journey home, is
Mm,
to allow ourselves to unfold, to understand who we are, and we have a lot of you used a banana peel before, but this is an onion of layers and layers and layers of adaptations that we have all created in ourselves as we've grown from children to cope with our life, to please people, to want to fit in with family, to fit in society, and we've listened to and read people's body language. And I wrote that everything outside of us is forming, informing, or altering our reality of from what we know. So if you go back to the beginning of when we're a baby, I believe that we still understand our connection, that we're one with God. And then as we get raised in our families and experience life, we keep getting informed by our senses, by what we see, what we hear, what we feel, taste, smell, that everything is constantly informing us and saying, and then here comes the good and bad and the right and wrong and the shoulds. And so we keep having layers to of adapting to every one of these informations to fit in or not to fit in, rather than just be who we truly are. And so there, I was just writing today about spiritual amnesia, and we forget. We forgot purposely. We forgot that we are one with God, or whomever anybody calls universal, divine, unconditional love. And that forgetting helped us actually take on this dream of being in a human life and let our story unfold. So all of this story keeps. So now we have to undo the story, right?
Yeah, so there's a lot of fruit and veg in this. And it's true, isn't it? We've got to take a bite out of that apple and spit it out if it doesn't, so if that knowledge doesn't really support us
Mhm.
and bring us feelings of peace and love. But it's so true, and it's this constant journey. And honestly, sometimes I get to a point in my own life, and I'm there right now, where I feel like I've had a freak enough of this. You know what I mean? I just
Mhm.
want to feel peaceful. But again, every time I realise now today, I realise under my radar, there's all these thoughts and feelings and worries that are
Mhm.
just rumbling around. And of course, we're coming into this full lunar eclipse. It's a massive and powerful time for releasing everything that no longer serves us. And
Mhm.
that means people, relationships, ways of living, jobs, all the big stuff, right? All that big
Mhm.
stuff,
Mhm.
which of course means it's a perfect time for us to be doing this work.
It is, and all the faulty thinking and beliefs of the ego and the soul print energy, which I talk about, is just this massive web of all of the faulty thinking and stories of I'm not good enough or I'm not worthy and lack and scarcity and victimization. And so what's really interesting is I think that all needs to be shaken loose too. It's like an infection in our in our psyche, in our psyche that needs to be gone. We need to eradicate it. So that's really interesting. That you're talking about the lunar eclipse.
Well, it brings us into this, for me anyway, it shows how we've got all these support systems always operating. Um, and, the lunar eclipse is just one of them. Our astrology, the heavens, there's all these breadcrumbs along the path, aren't there? that say,
Mhm.
okay, where do you want to go and how do you want to get there? There's a really long, torturous route, and you can take that, and that's okay. Because, hey, if you need to go that way, that's because you need to go that way.
Mhm.
At the moment, I'm on that route. I
Mhm.
really am. I'm really on that path
Well,
so firmly. And, letting go of the self-talk that I've got that I shouldn't be,
uh-huh.
um, that's a big one for me, Deb.
Mhm.
Like you, okay, so this round peg needs to go in the triangular hole. Well, what I'll do is I'll just knock some edges off and I'll
Mhm.
force it in. And so that's my old patterning. I did that for many, many years. And when
Right.
it comes up, it's another layer, isn't it? It's another layer
It,
to love and let go and learn from.
yes, that's the adapting. That what you're describing is how we adapt.
Yeah,
Um,
right there.
yeah.
And it's
Mhm. Right
nasty.
there. It is, but we're doing
It's
it our
really
whole life.
nasty.
We're doing it every day. And then we just keep recycling the same patterns of and those adaptations are just stuck in there in us, and they're uh they're like fused in, and
Mm.
part of the walking this journey is getting rid of them. So I see I have a caller with the number starting with 412, and it looks like you pressed 1 to talk with us, so I'm going to open your mic. And if you don't want to talk with us, that's okay if you're just listening, but it appears to me that you would like to say something. So, hi, this is Deb. Who am I speaking to?
Hi, this is Pam. I was
Hi,
just kind
Pam.
of listening. I was listening to your show before, and I really love angels and always talk to them if that sounds strange.
No, we do
Not at
too.
all.
So I don't know. I'm enjoying it so far.
Okay. Well, if you just want to listen in, that's fine. We didn't know if you had a question for us.
Now, do you do readings or questions or anything like that?
Well, we try to help you with some guidance. If you do have a question, we could try to help you
Mm.
with some guidance.
Okay, I do. I just moved back to my home state, Pennsylvania. I was in South Carolina for a while, and because I was my fiance passed away about 3 years ago, and then I moved down to South Carolina to be with my brother, and then he passed away. So I moved home, and I just don't know where I'm going. What's the right move for me? I don't know if I'm happy here now because I don't think you can go back.
Well, that's an excellent question, and sounds like you've had a lot of grief to deal with.
Yes,
Correct? Yeah.
yes.
And
It's
and
been 3 years, and I should be feeling better, and I do most of the time, but I don't know. I'd like to meet somebody, but I don't know how. I'm just really
mhm.
lonely.
Mhm. Yeah, and so that would be a normal feeling, and what I've learned is uh it's really interesting because when I started to go inside and hear Jesus and God and the angels talk to me, um I would realize, and they would tell me, you're never alone because they're always with you. But as a human, we do crave to have physical contact with people, and we like having people in our life. I think it would be kind of lonely, because you have this human part of us that, even if it is a dream, we have this human part of us that longs to be social and to be with others. And so what I've learned, that's like a little, those are parts of us, like maybe younger parts of us that are crying out for love. And I had to do a lot of work internally, uh, to try and find what those parts of me that needed love. And I know that since you talked to the angels, that they could do a really great job in guiding you to how to center yourself. And so meditation helps center yourself. Meditation, I don't know if you do any of that. Do you?
A little bit, I do. Yes,
Mhm.
it's more in prayer than in, I guess, meditating.
Yeah, so tating is would allow you, well, what, it doesn't matter what you call it. Part, you could look at meditation as your prayer time. It's holy time.
Mhm.
So it's about talking to the angels and asking them to show you, to help you see, to help you know, hear what it is that you can do to um, start receiving more of that love and bring it inside of yourself and fill yourself up and to get some direction with.
Well, I do that, but so
Mhm.
far, I don't know. I
Mhm.
just have to keep doing it. That's all.
Yeah, and I go through periods of time. Well, my the ego will tell you that you can't hear, you're not getting messages, and there's no truth to that. It's always the ego that is blocking us from hearing the angels or God. The ego. I wrote that down on a list because when I start saying to myself, I can't hear, I'm not hearing anything, and
Yes.
I don't feel connected. It is always the ego. That's a lie that the ego tells us, and we believe it.
Okay.
So you kind of have to, when you're in prayer or meditation time, you need to kind of like say, okay, ego, I know that you're trying to get in my way, so I'm going to take a lot of deep breaths. I'm going to blow you out, and I'm just going to meditate and just be quiet and see what comes up and whatever floats up. And um but you might have some grief left, and that's okay, and there's no time limit on I should be like this or I should be like that. But this is about doing some more internal work and finding out, exploring yourself some more. And like we're talking about on the show, there's so many layers to go through, and all of our little selves are still pretty active. Like there's no such thing as time or space, so you are actually having all parts of yourself happening at the same time. So meaning like I'm a baby, I'm 5, I'm 10, I'm 15, I'm 20, I'm 30, I'm 40. This is all happening at the same time, and so you're always converging with other parts of you that are still crying out for love that haven't been healed.
Makes sense. Thank you.
Yeah, Anaya, I'm sure you have something to say.
Yes, of course I do. Hi there, Pam. Hi there, Pam.
Hi.
Hi, Pam. Keep talking to the angels. Now, when I was listening to you share, I could feel this sense of longing in you. And so you've gone to be with your fiance, you've come back to be with your brother, and now it's time, I feel, for you to be with you. And this
Mhm.
sounds so easy, but it really, really isn't, is it?
No.
No. And I hear that, and I honor that in you, and I want you to know that I feel that with you. But here's the thing. When we are always looking outside, it's like being in a beautiful mansion, right?
Right.
Everything that you could ever want in that mansion is all there. There's nothing you could ever want for. And yet, when we've got our faces pressed up against the window, looking outside, what else is out there? What can I find? What am I missing? I want to go here, I want to go there. We can't experience or enjoy what's there. And the trick is, for me anyway, Pam, is to know that there are many, many doors, many doors. We can walk in and out of those doors easily and come back in and experience it all, right? So we go out into the world and we look for things, and then we, that feeling when you come back and you feel really connected to yourself, Pam?
Yes.
You're back in the mansion.
Mhm.
know, if you can, I'd like you to give yourself permission to know that it's okay to feel really crappy about it. And it's also okay to go out and search. And when you get to a point where you realize that searching isn't fruitful, doesn't make you feel loved and blessed and honored and happy, you can come back into you. Feel what you've already got in there, and that will attract and bring in more of what you already love about what you have inside of you. So keep talking to the angels. Know that they are divinely created and inspired messengers from God or Creator, Great Spirit, whatever it is for you, and that you are truly loved and blessed. And just take those little steps every day. Give yourself 5 minutes. Make it an appointment. 5 minutes. This is where I meditate. This is where I relax. This is where I breathe. And if you want to go more than 5 minutes, keep going. If you don't, you can say, I've done that. And gradually what you'll find is that will happen is you will enjoy being in there more and more, and you'll actually want to go back for that time. And I've got a girlfriend who um, books time twice a week, Thursday and Sunday. Hi Zara. Thursday and Sunday are her meditation appointments, and at that time every week on those 2 days, that's what she does. And I thought, oh my God, that's smart.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
It's
It
really
is.
smart, isn't it? So I'm doing
Mhm.
the same thing now. So
Mhm.
good for you,
Yeah.
Pam. Good for you.
Mhm. Yes.
Well,
I'm
thank
sure
you
that
so
things
much.
are going to work out, and that, you know, you already, just by talking to the angels and having that connection, and the more time you spend with them, because that's what really this takes. The more time you spend with them as you can, you're going to learn more and more and more and heal more and more and more. So, God bless you, and thank you for calling in, Pam. And I hope you enjoy the rest of the show.
Thank you.
You're welcome. What a great call. I think, that probably helped a lot of other people that um, feel lonely or have lost people, or
Yep.
relationships that didn't work out. And these are all part of these layers that we're talking about that have to keep getting peeled away because we've built so many walls. We built a fortress around ourselves, in layers in ourselves, that each wall has to come down. And by doing this work of going in and um, having quiet time and listening is how that all starts to crumble down all of these walls.
Absolutely. And the thing is, we've spent a long time, some of us, building up these walls. A
Mhm.
long, long, long time. They're not going to come down. Sometimes they do, and it can be a little bit traumatic. But sometimes we need to spend that time and just dismantle them brick by brick. What is this brick saying to me? What is this representing? Why did I put it there? You know, because we're really thinking that we're shielding and protecting ourselves, and of course we're actually isolating ourselves, aren't we?
Mhm. Totally. We built a fortress based on faulty thinking, and beliefs. None of it's true.
Mm. No, that's the
Uh,
thing. But the thing is, it
mhm.
feels so true. It feels
It,
so real, doesn't it?
it feels real. It does feel real. It's amazing how real it feels, and you don't even know most of the fortress that you've built until you start taking the walls down and doing the work, and you're like, whoa, what? I had no idea I was doing this or that. And so there's this constant discovery about who you are, and it's pretty amazing, and it's a life journey. It's not something that you attain. It's not like something you can set a goal for that you're going to meet that goal in a month, a year, 5 years. It is constantly um, becoming more of yourself, of your true nature over your lifespan.
Mm, absolutely. And
Mhm.
giving ourselves permission to just accept that, because it can be, to me, that's, for me personally, that's quite a bit of the struggle, is accepting that. Because I
Mhm.
just want to get on with it. I want, which of course means I'm coming from a place where I feel I lack. And as
Right.
long as I'm in that place, I will always lack.
Exactly, and that's what I said. This victimization consciousness is in all our thoughts. All our
Yes.
thoughts.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and it was sort of like I'll give an example since I had two root canals last week, and um my the nerve in my tooth root was dead, so I didn't even know that there was something going on in there. And the endodontist says it's been in there for 2 years. He tells me today 2 years eating away at the bone. Um and it was all this swelling, and there was a hole in my gum made so that the infection could come out, so it could come out of there, and it wasn't coming out. And so then I felt, okay, this isn't good enough, right? We need to get this out now, and he could only get out maybe 90% of it. And so I'm like, well, that's not good enough either. Like the 10% needs to come out. And it is just such an analogy of how we want to keep pushing ourselves forward with where you are in the moment is not okay. Now, of course, none of us want an infection inside of us, but
Yeah.
it is what it is. It's being treated, and but it is it. That is the way that I have always gone through life. It's got to be done. It's got to go to the next thing. I'm, always 5 steps ahead of myself in the future versus staying present and seeing what the opportunity of the moment has to help me explore myself. So, this is part of my process of learning some more. And even though I have all of this knowledge, it doesn't mean that I've caught up to all of it in doing the work. And I do work on it every single day.
I
But
know
the
you do. I
sneaky
actually know you do. Yes.
the sneaky soul print energy is lurking around us, recycling around us all the time.
All the time. And the thing is, Deb, if you had done it all, you wouldn't be here anyway.
Mm-mm.
You wouldn't need to be here having this
Right.
experience in Earth School. So it's kind of really cool in that way as well. And
Mhm.
as you were speaking about the situation with the root canal, getting to the root of it all, and what
Mhm.
a perfect time for this to be happening with the lunar eclipse,
Mhm.
because it's about a time of that releasing deep-seated wounds. How
Mhm.
perfect a time is it for you to be experiencing this and all that entails?
Yes. Yes. And I started asking like, what? Okay, what is this all about? It was the same
Did
message of
God say,
this
how
is
long have you got?
yeah, right. Well, every day I'm like constantly asking
Okay, Deb,
something.
you really want to know how long have you got?
Yeah. Right. Yeah, and it's all about purging. It's all about releasing. It's all about letting go of all of this toxic, infectious, faulty thinking and beliefs and patterns of behavior that we do, um, and getting stronger and stronger in knowing who we are and being able to live from that knowledge versus what your senses are telling you.
Yeah. Mm. Now, I just want to give a shout out, if I can, Deb, to
Mhm.
an absolutely wonderful, lovely, very caring and supportive listener, Amy. You know who you are, Amy. I know you're at work listening because you can. And thanks. We just want you to know that, like all of our listeners, everyone who supports us, we have great, respect and gratitude for you, and sending you lots and lots of love, and a lot of love to everyone else as well.
Oh, that's very nice. Yes, and I've had a message from Kevin Hill the other day, who is a listener, and so he's been kind enough to reach out that he enjoys Angel Heart Radio and our show, and I just wanted to say thank you for listening and giving me feedback. So that's awesome. And
It really
I
is, isn't it? It's really. I don't know whether our listeners really understand or appreciate how much we appreciate them.
thought.
Mm,
Yes, we're doing this for them. So,
that's right.
knowing that we're bringing them something that they are interested in, that they feel is helpful, is very important to us to know that we are connecting, because that's all what this is about connecting with um, the public, and the oneness of everybody that is going through all kinds of different things, and that letting people know they're not alone, and that
Mm,
we experience all of these things ourselves.
exactly. Exactly. That's exactly what it is. Bringing us, into a space of inclusion and honor, respect, and love. And it's a beautiful thing to be able to do. We're very fortunate because it's something we love to do. So we're very
Mhm.
fortunate that we've been so well received around the world. And hey, we're about to have our 8th birthday in September, everyone.
Wow, that's
Woohoo!
awesome. 8 years already. That's
I
great.
know. I know. So fantastic. Who knew? You just don't know when you start something, do you? It's brilliant.
No, you don't. No, you don't.
Mm.
And what I love about the show, that there's like all of us are bringing divine messages to everybody. The knowledge that I have comes from um, God, Jesus, the angels, and the messages you bring, and the messages Darren brings, and anybody else that comes on the show. Um, we're bringing people messages from the divine to help them uh, stop their suffering, to help them know how much they're loved and cherished and blessed. And I think that is so important. I also have a message about I asked God to describe who we are. I said, who am I? Who? And so if you're okay, I'd like to read it.
Oh, I'd love it, Deb. I love when you share what you receive, and I always find, really, actually, always find it speaks to me on a very deep level.
Mhm. Well, thank you. And it always does for me too, because I bring all of my curiosity to God to explain things of what is this life about, and who am I, who is everybody else. And so this is really interesting. So I asked him if it is just me here, because I know it's an illusion and everyone is just a mirror reflection of me. And this is what he told me. God said it is just him. And you are billions of light reflections of me, meaning God. Just like the stars are. God told me to look at the sun, and that all of us are his projected light, like little suns that reflect his light back to him. And I'm saying sun like sun, like the sun. And so when we are reflecting all of his light and his light to each other and back to him, he said this is how we are in communion. You also are all projecting my light to each other, which reflects the light back to me, and I am infinite and eternal. You are a projection of me, my light. Because you cannot understand my power or infinity in this form, you will not be able to fully understand the totality of this. This truth is higher than just understanding how people reflect each other through the concept of the mirror, which we can talk about after. He says, I am the one, and all of you are mirrors of me and are one light energy of me. Because I have no form, it makes it difficult getting started to learn about the mirror of each other. But as you go higher into my mind, then you understand that it is just me, my light, my energy, and you are light reflections of me, shining my light back at me and to each other. This information will get deeper and eventually integrated so we will embody it. So I said, so God, am I just your light reflecting back to you? He said, yes, you are the same life force of light energy reflecting back to me. And so I asked him, then you are the projector of light energy. And he said, yes, just like you would see the sun that way. And I said, so then there's no limit to consciousness because you're just projecting all of the consciousness and it gets reflected back to you and it's infinite and eternal. He said, yes, that's a good way to think of it. And that this is why there is only one mind because all knowledge is already infinite and just gets reflected. I asked him this because there is one mind. It's God's consciousness, and that's all that we are is one, the consciousness of God. So God said the light holds all of the knowledge, just like DNA carries all of the knowledge, or like a cell that carries all its knowledge. It is infinite and has no end to how it can unfold or mutate. So it just keeps growing. And I said, so does this mean your knowledge keeps growing or that it's immeasurable? And he said, great question. We keep going higher, and I know that this is inconceivable that I, God, could go higher. But it is true. Everything keeps going higher. And I said, I don't think you would be any higher than you already are. And he said, yes, I understand that, but there's no truth to it. When you say higher, God, what do you mean? He said, it means that I keep expanding in consciousness energy. There is no end to it. As I expand and project more light, then even more reflection comes back to me. So God, I asked, I am trying to fit this into the information of my understanding of my life as a human in this dream. He said, the more reflections of consciousness that happen within me, Deb, the more light reflects back to the whole. This is also true for others because of the one mind. So that means that as each one of us do our work and keep going higher, um, we are reflecting all of that higher conscious level and through light energy back to God. Because I am, he says, because I am all of you, this light then gets reflected back to me, and which keeps making God consciousness expand. Isn't that amazing?
Mm. And excuse me, it starts to really crystallize, like in some ways, to me about this separateness that we believe we are, and how we feel we've got quote unquote a light side and quote unquote a dark side. So what it made me really start to think about and feel was how when I'm in my quote unquote dark side, because you can't see me do the air things, the air quotes, I'm really in my ego and in my head and in my restricted part, which is I have to do this, I've got to go there, I've got to make this happen. I'm
Mhm.
in my light side. I'm in my in my God. I'm more in touch with my God,
Mhm.
with myself, with
Mhm.
my own divinity. And that's why that feels so damn good, isn't it? It's
It
so
does.
light. Literally.
Literally. It feels
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah. Like when I come out of yoga, I went to yoga yesterday feeling like a ton of bricks sitting on top of me. And I came out an hour and a half later going, wow, I feel amazing because I was inward, I was communing with my divinity
Yes.
instead of out there. Because we often think that yoga is about the exercise, don't we? And it is, but it's really about stilling that mind chatter,
Mhm.
being at peace.
Yes.
Beautiful.
And what I'm understanding now is what prayer is actually the it is the communing and unity with God. That's
Mm.
It's about being in that oneness. That's what prayer is. It's being
For me
able
too.
to be, yeah. Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah. And,
So,
I pray all the time. And I actually realised the other day I'm walking along the street, you know, the main street, and I was praying. I was praying out loud because I pray all the time. And I suddenly thought to myself, oh, praying out loud on the street amongst all these people. And once upon a time I couldn't have done that because I would have felt like an idiot. But now I feel really comfortable because I am communing with God.
mhm.
And it's important for me. If I've got a worry on my mind, I can just talk to God about it in a very simple, quick way.
Mhm.
And, driving my grandchildren, Bailey says, what are you talking about, Dad? I said, I'm praying, Bailey. He said, oh, okay. Now we
Yeah.
can see how it starts to shift, can't we? Because now
Mhm.
for Bailey, it's completely normal for me to pray, to be speaking very
Exactly.
quietly in prayer. It's completely normal for him. Whereas if my grandmother had have done that, we probably would have had her certified, to be quite honest, because that was
Mhm.
the thinking of the day. If people are speaking out loud to no one,
Mhm.
there's something wrong with them. So we've made a massive shift. There's no doubt about it.
Mhm. Yeah. And you receive answers
Mm.
when you especially when you're quiet and you are reflective and you want to have a conversation, like it's just like a lot of times people will pray and say, should I do this or should I do that, or tell me what to do, or but God wants a conversation with you. And and that conversation is both two ways. You're And when you start to realize that you're of the same light, that there's no difference between the two of you, although I will say I love in A Course in Miracles where Jesus says um, that you are the same as God, except God is greater.
Oh,
Um,
I do love that.
yeah, it's a really good way to understand that. And so, you know, and I've been told from Jesus and God that I'm not to hold them up any higher than I hold myself, because I am of God. I am the same thing. I'm the same light spirit as I say he because I feel it
Yeah.
as a male energy, but and that if I'm going to hold them up higher, then I need to do that with myself and everybody else. That because we are all one and the same as God. So you keep going down these layers of adaptations, and you start peeling them away, and you realize, oh my gosh, I'm more like God than I ever thought, um, because a lot of the traits too that we have are also God's traits, which is what we learn through religion about who God is nothing like what God is. God God is so infinite and expansive that we cannot wrap our heads around what the totality of God is. And God
Mm.
has a great sense of humor, and
Yes.
and a lot of the traits that we have are the same. So it's really interesting as you keep getting closer and closer, um, and realize that your divine nature is not different than his. It's pretty astounding.
It truly is. And there's two things something I want to say about that. But first, I want to say, hi, Amy. I can see you on Facebook. Amy's there because I sent her I said, I'm going to send you a shout out on the show, right? Which I did. So then
Mhm.
Amy says, I'm here, loving the confirmation from Deb's message from God about our being reflections of his light. I've been pondering this for quite a while now, and I love this. So, boom, look at that. That's so fantastic. Right there.
That's
Thank you,
awesome.
Amy. Mm.
That's
So if you're
oh,
not connected with Deb, Amy, I would really say go connect with Deb. Deb Goldberg, she's so amazing. And the thing you said about the conversation with God, I realized that a long time ago, and this is not just about conversations with angels, conversations with God, but it's conversations in general. And the conscious conversations, when we have a conversation with God or with the angels, then we are more able and receptive to hear the answers, aren't we?
mhm. Yeah.
Yeah. When we're
It,
asking,
it,
what do I do? Where do I go? And that's
mhm.
normal. That's, it's a completely natural question. But when we open the conversation, so instead of saying, tell me where to go, and I'd like to hear from you, Deb, maybe I would say, God, can you please help me? I'd like to talk to you about which way is the best way for me to go to bring me more peace. How do you do it?
Definitely. Definitely. I know. Well, now I just have conversations in my mind with him or in my heart, and my heart will translate, and it will for everybody else because that's the way God speaks to everybody is through their heart. I just happen to see and hear also, which most people can too, but they don't always try. They don't establish those skills. And so when I first started to talk with Jesus and God, I noticed when I was frantic and my ego was asking, I would not get an answer because it was coming from my ego. And then when I started to ask from my heart, like what you just said would be a great way to open your heart and saying, I really want to understand what is best for me rather than the ego going, I need you to tell me what to do because blah 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 blah. Um then the energy would always flow. The answers flow. It's always there. You cannot not be there because you are always in the one mind of God. It's just an illusion that you are separated. And that separation occurs in I call it the trance state of getting stuck in your head and not being present. So so I think the way you said that was a great way to open it. Anything you could do to really open your heart and you want to know from your heart some to have some questions or just connect even if you don't have a question, it's just that you want to know that somebody's there with you.
Mm.
um that is the way that you do that. But when I went in with my ego, I wouldn't hear anything.
Same. Same. When I'm in my ego, I notice now, looking back at various times, that it was all there, but my ego was saying, no, that can't be right. That's too
Mhm.
simple, or no, that's just a coincidence, or no, you made that happen, or that could have happened anyway. So it's
Mhm.
all there, but whether
Mhm.
or not we're open to it. So, if you just think about it, you have a conversation with someone, you say, hi, how are you today? And then you don't wait for the answer, you're not going to hear it. And it's the same with communing with the divine.
Mhm. Yes.
Wait for the
Although
answer. Sometimes the answer takes a while, not because it's
mhm.
not being provided, but because it takes a while for us to be open enough to hear it, see it, feel it, recognize it. And that's okay.
Mhm. Yeah, I know that sometimes I ask some pretty big questions, about myself and like and uh my ego. It's everybody's ego. There's one ego, but I say the ego will chime in, and it's like it shuts my ears down, and then I can't hear because it's afraid of what the answer's going to be.
Yeah, exactly.
and and there's nothing that you ever hear that's terrible, but the ego will still chime in at times, and like I'll ask something and it's sort of like, oh, I don't want to really hear this answer, so I don't hear it, because there's too much interference. I'm not in the clear connection. because the ego is interfering. So these are great questions, though, Anaya, because really the only way that I was able to unpack so many of these layers of adaptations is through God and Jesus and the angels, because I couldn't do that by myself, and it's it's so deep that you need the spiritual love, the unconditional love and healing to unravel all of what you created by experiencing life.
Yes, absolutely. And sometimes, we look to other people for that, and it's not possible to receive it. They're going through their own stuff, their own
Mhm.
point of view, their own perception, their own journey. And I think it's all up to bounce us back to, coming back within all the time. I think
Mhm.
everything is bringing
Yes.
us back inside, look within. And the fact that we are already connected is one of my biggest messages. Don't look to
Mhm.
anybody else if you can help yourself to connect you, because you're already connected. Find
Yes.
out how you're connected.
Right. And it just takes time to, you have to make the time to be quiet and still and put, um, put energy into that versus being busy all the time. And when you really want to hear, and you're ready and you're hearing from your heart, you want to hear about the truth about yourself, um, it's there.
Mm. It
It's
is. It
there.
truly is. Mm.
Mhm. So we're down
And
to like, go ahead. I was just gonna say it's like 3.5 minutes left of the show. Oh
I know we
my God.
just got here. Come on. Where does the
Yeah.
time go? That really does.
Yeah.
It really does fly when you're in that beautiful flow, doesn't it?
Mhm. It certainly does. So I guess what do we want to leave people with this show, that um you are you're divine. You are no different than the light of God and energy of God. And until you start removing all of these layers and stop letting the outside world inform you and keep altering that reality, you're not going to be happy and have the joy and peace that you deserve and who you are, of who you are.
Yes,
How about you?
absolutely. Um, I guess the main thing for me is that no matter where you're at or what's happening for you, or let's say you've behaved, in a really way that you just feel so bad about now, and you're beating yourself up, you've got to let it go. That's the only way forward. Because when you let it go and go within and come back to your Creator's love, you will find all the blessings of the lessons and the
Mhm.
opportunities within those situations. This has been a big one for me in my life, massive actually.
Mhm.
So come within, come home, let it go. You're okay. It was a moment, as Oprah says. The truth is that you are already connected and you are already beautiful, wonderful, amazing, loved.
Mhm. That's awesome. Yes, that is awesome. And what I've learned is that there is no truth to sin, to shame, to guilt. Those are all things that we've taken on, that God does not have eyes like that, does not see anybody that way. He only sees your perfection, because that's what each one of us are, is perfection. And exactly the way that you are. You don't have to be better. You don't have to be different. You are perfect as you are, and we're all trying to reach some crazy perfection that is has nothing to do. We already are perfect, but we think that we're not. So you can learn all of this inside, because all that knowledge was taught to me from inside, and you have the same abilities. Anaya, thank you so much for being here with
Oh,
me and doing this
thank
show
you.
together.
so wonderful. I love it. I love when we do these shows together, Deb. It's just the most beautiful experience for me. So thank you, and thank
It
you to
is me
everyone
too.
who's listened and shares.
It is me too. And thank you. And I'm very grateful to you for this sacred space that you have
Thank you so
created,
much.
because it is very special. Very special that we can talk about all of these things here. So, when in doubt, never underestimate the power of prayer. You are being listened to and heard throughout the universe, and it always responds with infinite and eternal love. Remember to go inside and listen through your heart for the whispers of heaven. I love you, and God bless you.
You've been listening to another fabulous program on Angel Heart Radio. Our goal is to remind you of how much you matter in the world and to let you know that we appreciate who you are in the world. You can check out who's on, when we're on, and who our guests are at angelheartradio.com. Everything is there. It's all just one click away. Angel Heart Radio programs are powerful tools to help you in your life and your life experience. They are not intended, nor should they, be used to replace your medical or legal advice. The views expressed by hosts, co-hosts, callers, guests and associates should not be construed as advice from Angel Heart Radio.